His name is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, and he is the first American-born Pope. Prevost, who was born in Chicago, was elected on the second day of the conclave, securing a majority of the 133 cardinal votes. He is also a citizen of Peru, where he lived for many years as a missionary and archbishop. Prevost has taken the papal name Leo XIV.
Habemus Papam. White smoke billowed from the chimney of the Vatican's Sistine chapel, signifying that a new pope has been chosen. Leo XIV's first papal address to the crowds gathered in St. Peter's Square called for peace and unity.
And you too, help us and then help one another to build bridges through dialogue, through encounters, uniting all of us to be one people, always in peace.
The man chosen to be Pope is Robert Prevost. He is 69 years old and was born in Chicago. He became a priest in 1983. 3 years later, he moved to Peru, where he is known for his work with marginalized groups and poorer communities. Emotions were high among the tens of thousands of faithful outside the Vatican following the announcement.
It's an exciting moment. I didn't expect it, and on such a sunny day, I feel a great energy in this square. I hope he will be a great successor to Pope Francis.
My friend and I came to experience this historic moment, to feel that we have a shepherd again who accompanies and guides us.
US President Donald Trump posted congratulations to the Pope on Truth Social, calling it a great honor for our country. Leo XIV was a close confidant of the late Pope Francis. He will now take over his role as the leader of 1.4 billion Catholics around the world.
All right, we want to cross over now to our correspondent, Jack Parrock. He is at the Vatican. Jack, what was the reaction when the new Pope was announced?
Yeah, it was a really interesting reaction. The first thing was, oh, it's Robert Prevost. His name was not necessarily at the top of everyone's list. As you can see, or perhaps here behind me, they're already starting to clear off the square here. The crowds have broadly dispersed, but I do have one of the people who came to St. Peter's Square to witness this. That's Mary Ryan from Australia. You've come here on a 40th anniversary trip. Can you tell me, what was your reaction to seeing the white smoke and the Pope coming out on the balcony?
Oh, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I think privileged to be a part of the whole celebration, an opportunity for us to, share this historical moment and hopefully lead towards world peace, really.
What happened? Can you describe what it felt like being here?
Well, we actually arrived yesterday and we were a part of this wonderful vibe all day yesterday in St. Peter's Square, waiting for the smoke to, and then of course it didn't yesterday, so today was the big, event, and absolutely brilliant. I mean, you just couldn't ask for a better moment in your life, really, to be there and to be a part of this wonderful vibe with people just celebrating. Great news.
What does the Pope mean for practicing Catholics like yourself?
Well, as I said, it's sort of like a part of our royal line of great leaders who just inspire people to be good people and better people, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much for speaking to us, and W, have a lovely rest of your evening. Cheers now. So as you can hear, just one of the testimonies of people who thousands of people streamed down onto the square to witness the announcement of the Pope after the white smoke came.
And Jack, let me ask you, what have people been telling you? Have they been focused on the fact that we have a new Pope, or have they been focused on the fact that we have a new Pope who also happens to be American?
There's a lot of discussion about the fact that he is from America, no doubt about that. there's been a tweet as well that came up that he posted just over a week ago, which was a direct tweet related to J.D. Vance, the US Vice President, saying Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love, related to some of the stuff that J.D. Vance had been saying. Now, it's expected that J.D. Vance will be the person that comes to attend the inauguration, which could potentially happen a week on Sunday. So there's already some potential tensions there, despite, as we saw, him being welcomed by the US President Donald Trump. There's just one thing that I would like to say as well that's been a fascinating part of covering this conclave. Experts have told me, firstly, that it was one of the most rumour-milled, most full of different news and different takes in the run-up to it. And I have spoken to scores of different experts and Vatican insiders, and not one of them had Robert Prevost at the top of their list going into this. So I think that shows you that we just don't know what happens in the conclave.
Yeah, and maybe it's good that there can still be some mystery in this world. Who knows? Jack Parrock there for us at the Vatican. Jack, thank you. Excellent reporting today. Thank you. Our coverage continues now with Father Ariel Beramendi. He knows the Vatican from the inside, having worked in its communications department for many years. He is a priest originally from Bolivia, currently working in a Catholic parish in southwest London. Father, it's good to have you on the program. Let me ask you, do you know Pope Leo XIV or Cardinal Robert Prevost? Do you know him already?
Well, I work not directly for him, but I saw him in some meetings because he has participated at the Synod of Bishops 2023 before I left the Vatican. So I saw him and maybe I say hello, but I didn't really work directly with him.
What did you think when you saw him appear on that balcony this evening?
I was completely surprised, impressed, and happy at the same time. I thought, and I wrote his name in an article saying that he was a moderate candidate, that this is what the Catholic Church needs now, and as well the world. So I was very happy, very impressed that he spoke a very good Italian, Spanish, of course, and I'm sure he will speak English.
I mean, it's interesting. You had him on your radar, but not a lot of people did. I mean, we talked to a lot of people, and almost no one mentioned this man originally from Chicago. What was it about him that made you think this could be the one?
Because he was working in Peru, and in fact, his second nationality is Peruvian. And his profile is more like a man of dialogue, creating unity and reconciliation. That was always been his profile as a bishop, and working at the Vatican as well. So he knew the pastoral side outside around the world. He was doing bishops as a job in the Vatican. He was the head of that dicastery. And the other thing is that he has this international and global view of the Catholic Church. And of course, as I said before, he is a kind of moderate person, creator, a bridge builder. And this is what, the Catholic Church needs in this period, and the world as well.
Yeah, I mean, he is a polyglot. As you said, he speaks several languages, most importantly, Italian, Spanish, and English. How important is it that he has a foot in both South America and North America?
Well, the fact that he is, let's say, South American is a continuity. It's a very strong sign that he's going to continue the reforms of Pope Francis, the legacy of Pope Francis, maybe with another rhythm, more discreetly, and it's necessary. And at the same time, the fact that he's American, I think he can speak politically, is a spiritual leader, a very important spiritual leader of the Catholic Church, but as well a leader of the world, as a spiritual leader. So he can speak with the powerful people around the world. And I think the fact that he's from North America in this moment, geopolitically speaking, it's very, very interesting and very important.
Do you think that in the conclave that the cardinals, do you think they had the rule, the power of Donald Trump on their minds and where he is taking the world's superpower? Do you think that was one reason why they decided we need to put an American in the chair?
Well, it's very difficult to know what happened there. And if I had to guess, maybe I would say that he, as an American citizen, I think he's a very strong partner to speak with him straight away, directly, with the same culture, with the same language, with the same codes. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that had a weight, a big important weight in the conclave. Yeah.
Okay, Father Ariel Beramendi, we appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank to you.
And we want to cross over now to our correspondent in Washington, D.C., my colleague Janelle Dumalaon. She's been covering the story from the U.S. Capitol for us today. Janelle, so Pope Leo XIV, he's the first American pope. What's been the reaction? How big of a deal is this for the United States?
It's been a very big deal here, Brent. First, an American, the two descriptive words almost always attached to this new pope's name every time he's being talked about. And uniformly, we've heard that they were surprised that nobody saw this coming and that this came out of nowhere. We've also heard reactions from the likes of President Donald Trump. He said that it was a great honor having an American pope and that he looked forward to meeting the pope. And when he does, it would be a very meaningful moment. So the fact is, we have arrived at a point in history where there are two highly visible American leaders on the global stage. Americans are processing the implications of that, and we talked to quite a few of them. Here is what some of them had to say.
I'm excited. I'm excited. First time in the history of the church. So yeah, it's very, very inspiring.
I'm very nervous about what our current orange balloon is going to do with it and how there might be manipulation.
I really hope that church and state stay separate. It's sort of a classic American tradition, so hopefully we keep that up.
I want the Pope to be a good person who cares about people in general and is, from my perspective, as liberal as possible.
Janelle, Robert Prevost, he comes from Chicago. One Italian newspaper has called him the least American of the Americans. How has he positioned himself on some of the hot button issues in the United States, such as immigration?
So this is interesting. So in these last hours since he has become Pope, his social media following has exploded from a couple thousand in those first moments to on its way to hundreds of thousands. And a lot of that is down to people flocking to his social media page, to his Twitter, to find out what he has said on what. And what people are finding is that he's been quite critical of how the Trump administration has handled immigration, has handled these mass deportations. So he retweeted, for example, criticism of the Trump administration's handling of this man who lived here legally but was mistakenly deported to El Salvador, Gilmar Abrego Garcia, and how the administration has dragged its feet in getting him back. He said, he quoted somebody saying, "Do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet?" He also shared an article by Cardinal Timothy Dolan saying, entitled, "Why Donald Trump's Anti-Migrant Rhetoric is So Problematic." And finally, there was that moment where he appeared to criticize Vice President J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance has tried to use Christian ideology as a way of justifying this immigration crackdown, saying that, Christian ideology justified putting one's own family first, one's own community first, and therefore migrants last. And he said, he criticized that point by J.D. Vance by saying that Christianity doesn't force you to rank others in terms of deservingness of love. So our colleague put it best when he said that this is not, this may be an American pope, but this is not an America First pope. And I think that really is the best way to describe him.
All right, my colleague Janelle Dumalaon in Washington with the angle from that side of the Atlantic. Janelle, as always, thank you. Well, for more now, I'm joined by Christina Traina. She's a professor of Catholic theology at Fordham University in New York City. Professor, it's good to have you on the program. What does the choice of Robert Prevost, what does it tell us about the direction that the Catholic Church is likely to take in the coming years?
Well, of course, what actually happens is often a surprise, but I think that he's given us two important indications today. First of all, he has used the language of Francis in his address to the gathered crowd. He used the language of tutti, 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 everyone, everyone, everyone. He also talked about building bridges and going forward together hand in unity as disciples of Christ. He used the language of peace. He used the language of synodality, which is a signal that he wants to keep conversations from people at all levels of the church, between people at all levels of the church going with regard to the church's mission and the church's needs. The other thing that he did that was quite a strong indicator was choosing the name Leo at all. He avoided his recent predecessors' names, and he chose the name of the Pope that in some ways could be said to have founded the Catholic social justice tradition in 1891 with his encyclical Rerum Novarum. That is insider speak for just a document condemning the conditions suffered by industrial labor.
Fascinating. Do you think Pope Leo, do you think he will push the church in a more progressive direction?
Well, that's an interesting question. People often ask that. They say, well, Francis was progressive. What about Pope Leo? Will he be progressive? My answer to that is that Francis was not progressive at all. Francis, however, was an extraordinarily powerful pastoral presence. He thought that one could begin one's pathway, one's spiritual pathway with Christ from absolutely anywhere, no matter what sort of sin one might be in the midst of, right? One could begin following Christ from anywhere. And he didn't want to exclude anyone from that possibility. But he was theologically very conservative. And the indication we're getting at the moment from Leo XIV, Pope Leo XIV, is that he may be very similarly oriented.
Interesting. Pope Leo is the first American-born Pope, Pontiff. Do you think that is supposed to send a political signal, a political message in the Trump era?
I think it sends a message that the priorities of Francis, which he had begun to speak very clearly toward the U.S., are still in place.
And do you think that if there were not, I'm just going to ask you, if there were not a President Trump right now, do you think we would be talking about a different Pope tonight?
I am not sure that that's true, because there are, what I think they have done is to choose someone who not only is theologically conservative, or at least cautious like Francis, and pastorally very welcoming, but they've chosen someone who's 69. And that means that they want him to be around for a while. This isn't a caretaker Pope. This is someone whom they want to continue Francis's pastoral mission, I believe. And so he might very well have been chosen in any way.
What are the biggest challenges you think Pope Leo will face in the years ahead?
I think the largest challenges he faces, frankly, are dealing with the very diverse situations of Catholics in the global church. The problems faced in Ghana are different than the problems faced in Brazil, are different than the challenges faced in the Philippines, which are nothing like the ones faced in Canada and the US. So to keep everyone on the same page is going to be difficult, and he may need to figure out, just as Francis did, that ways to have people apply their doctrine and their liturgy, their different kinds of blessings differently in different countries.
Okay. Professor Traina, good talking with you. We appreciate you sharing your time and your insights with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.